Yeah, I agree. I'm very impressed with the turnout we had today. Quick question for the consultants. The number that you're using, the 100, I can't remember if you said 113 or 150 million, is that present day value or future value?
It's a present day value.
So it'd be safe to say that if we're looking at this for the master plan of build out 10 or 20 years, that number could more than double.
Right, and typically the way you would manage that, at least in your fee setting process, is you'd set the fees on present value and then build an escalator into your fee ordinance so that you can keep those things current.
Okay. I think one thing that's been failed to be mentioned here is that not only is there responsibility to the kids to look at the skateboard park, but there's also a responsibility to the business owners in the city that continually have damage to their buildings or continually have to run kids out of their parking lots. And I deal with a lot of that from businesses that I represent with my company. And so it's not just a need for the children, it's a need for businesses, and I think that it's obviously a substantial need. We haven't seen a turnout like this ever since I've been a part of the city. And I also am in favor of multiple parks. I don't know that one so-called regional or one park for the city, I don't see any place within our city that we can really centrally locate a skate park. And if we're going to look at the sports complex as being maybe the big park, I think we need smaller regionalized parks or neighborhood parks, because if you don't give the kids some place that's close proximity to their homes, they're going to still end up in the same places that they are today. Given the choice of being in the Rite-Aid parking lot that's 5 blocks from their house, or going all the way across town 4 or 5 miles to the skate park, most times I think they're going to stay at the Rite-Aid parking lot until we kick them out, and then they're slowly going to migrate to where they should be. I also like to see that our law enforcement agencies not have to deal with this and take part in more pressing issues that they should be taking care of. So I also am very much in favor of the recommendation that Mr. Herrera had talked about of forming some kind of committee. Obviously, I have no idea how to build a skate park, and I would think that most of the people around this table have no idea. Although I am also in favor of a committee for the baseball and softball fields, because I think there also is a need for some input from them. Obviously, we do have, I know that a lot of skateboard people that were in favor of the skateboards today feel that we have plenty of fields, but I think people around this table realize or understand that we don't. We have adult leagues, we have youth leagues that don't have enough space for the baseball fields and the softball fields, so there is a need for that also. But getting a committee of people, coaches, or members of the community that use those fields, I think is important for some kind of dialogue between the city, the consultants, and those people that are going to be using them, not just for the skateboard parks, but also for the baseball and softball fields.
Okay, well, I could just say ditto to everything around the table, but I have to have my name part too. In the late 80s when I ran for the school board, it was because I'd gone to music camp with my son up at Arrow Bear, and, which was a great experience if anyone's ever been to music camp. These kids in their weekend, they could play their hearts out. At the end, they'd give this great concert, and they announced Albrook, and people cheered, and San Diego, and Corona, and Ontario, and we weren't the only ones there from Centro, but nobody cheered. You're from where? And I remember I wanted my kids to grow up feeling pride for where they live. You know what? This gives it to them. This is a very ambitious project, and I'm so excited to see our council take the time and effort to develop this. Now, it's not all going to happen, but you know what? It's a start. We've started somewhere. I totally support the things that have been said. I agree with Angie 100%. I think we need to maintain what we have. I think we need to look at forming a maintenance district in our community where we all contribute. Let's, pay your share, just like they do in new developments. So $25 or $30 a month, every house paid that. Just think what we could do with our facilities. I totally support pocket parks. I'm completely supportive of skateboarding. 15 years ago we came to the city for that when my kids were doing that. I believe that this Imperial Valley can develop a regional sports complex. Not in El Centro, not in Imperial, not in Raleigh, but a regional complex that will provide something for the entire valley. I think we need to look at this valley globally and not as like, here we are, there they are, there they are. What do we have to offer as the Imperial Valley, which is a great place to be from, a great place to raise your kids, and I have a lot of pride in that. I agree that we need to involve the people in the community in some of the planning, and I think that's going to be done. Anyway, I'm very excited.
Thank you. Mr. West. Thank you very much. I want to ask a question. On the Sunflower Field, you downgraded that, or is that still on your high list, but you've actually downgraded that?
I just want to ask the committee that, because people did say that they agree with the priority list, but I do feel that it should be downgraded because it is not owned by the city.
Right, it's going
I
to
would
spend
put
a lot of
that
money.
I would put that in a low category, and I just wanted to make sure that.
I would agree with that if the school district was in a maintenance of existing enrollment. They're actually in a period of declining enrollment, and I don't see a reason to change the. I guess the point is, no one within the El Centro Elementary School District is talking about
Building a middle school out there.
No.
That's still a possibility there as far as long as they're not going to.
Well, I think that when they started that project, it was a K-8.
What happened, exactly right, when Sunflower Elementary was first conceived, it was K-8 because they wanted to compete with what was happening out at K. And the school district had the opportunity to lock up both sides of that street, so they went ahead with the purchase, thinking at some point in time, if we need to, we have another school site there for a middle school. But
I was just looking at it as far as the amount of money we could spend there, just be some kind of agreement to make sure that we wouldn't want to spend a lot of money, be short-sighted, and have them come in and do that later. The only other I'm not going to comment on the rest of the stuff. Everybody's already made comments about the park and go forward. I was mentioned to him earlier that when we were going to the planning commission, that if my memory serves right, actually skateboarding were formed in about 1954 in a little town called Torrance. That would be a surfer friend of mine that his buddy is one of the ones that helped to make the skateboards. And my brother and I tried them. I was not very good at it then, and don't intend to get them one today. But my brother was able to go about 35 miles an hour down the hill on one. I won't tell you what happened when he got to the bottom. But anyway, we'll leave that there. The other concern I had, I just want to mention, is the old post office. We had been working on that for a great many years. I see a feasibility study. It's a beautiful building. I already see something done. But is anything you hate to see a lot of money spent if it's not going to work for us as much as we'd like to have it? It just needs to be a sound fiscal relationship if we're going to do something there. I do believe that we need some kind of performing arts. I don't know that I believe it might need to be downtown. That's just one person. We need one somewhere. Thank you.
Mr. West, I should make note that I think in regard to the old post office, this requires its action. First priority action is to have a feasibility study before we go. And we had an opportunity to meet with our library commissioners recently, and that was a big part of the discussion, both there at the library and for the post office. Look, we need to know what is feasible here before we start planning an attack, because you're right, those are facilities that can provide great value, but also depending on the cost. And I think that it was brought up during the presentation that because of ADA requirements and the size of things, we could really get into some astronomical costs there. So it's been important to find that out first. Okay, I think that's everybody at the council. So we'll start with Phil.
Thank you, Mary. A couple of questions for the consultant before I make some comments. In your survey, you noted a response of 8-point-something response that included some surveys in Spanish. Is that a level of response that gives you confidence on the survey? And are you able to break down only the responses that you received in English versus Spanish?